Alright friends, it's C and I'm back, man. With a new video, JasonBlaha just popped up about 3 hours ago. I don't know, I just saw this video now. And I think we just covered this, man. I don't know why we're doing it again, but okay, here we go again. How much protein do we need to maximize muscle growth? Well, that's really easy. Protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown to maximize muscle growth. He's going to tell you other words, but I'm going to explain what he's trying to exactly say.
Hey everybody, it's JasonBlaha here, and today I thought I would discuss with you guys the amount of protein that is needed to maximize muscle mass based upon all the available literature in actual serious training lifters. Because quite frankly, we don't care about recreational lifters for numbers like this. It's just not that important. Because most people who are looking for an optimal number train relatively seriously. So again, we only really...
Optimal number, training seriously. Look, man, if you're a serious person that is lifting, you definitely want to exceed that breakdown, okay?
Care about the data that is looking at competitive weightlifters of some type, whether it's weightlifting, powerlifting, serious bodybuilder.
Okay, I'm about to get into this. He's confusing the data with average people in the street and lifting people, okay? This 1 point whatever gram per fucking kilogram you gotta eat. He's an idiot.
Things like that. These are the numbers that we want to draw from in studies. And what has been found consistently is that even these groups, if they have slightly higher needs, the maximum muscle growth occurs at around 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight. That is in the average person in public in the street. Okay? And here's the thing. Protein is being built up and broken down throughout the day. It's being built up and broken down. I know people that will that could practically eat 2 steaks a day. Okay? Regular people. But here's the thing. Who is really regular? People are working. They work physical jobs. The majority of people, they work a lot of physical jobs. They're tired. They're physically working. I don't know about these office people. They're kind of sitting around. They're still doing something. You know what I mean? But again, more physically demanding the job, the more you are going to consume. Think about that. Approximately 0.8.
If 0.8, does that apply to a person that sits in an office all day, or a person that is working in a factory lifting boxes all day for 6 hours or 7, 8 hours straight a day? See what I mean? What is this average? What is that? What is that? You're replacing proteins that you broke down. If you're not replacing more than you're breaking down, then you'll shrink. That's why people in the gym are always complaining, hey, I'm shrinking. I'm actually losing muscle working out. Yeah, you are. You will lose more muscle. If you lift heavy weights in a gym, you're going to shrink. You're going to get smaller if you don't keep up with the amount of proteins that you're losing in the gym. You understand me? Yeah. That's why people are complaining, I'm actually shrinking. You are shrinking because you're an idiot.
Grams per pound of body weight for those who use freedom units. All right, now when I make this statement...
Okay, per pound per body weight, whatever, 1 gram. Okay, I'll already disprove this right away, okay? Here's NCBI, again, one more time. NCBI, right there at the bottom, nutrition, muscle, protein synthesis. This is a section. If muscle is going to gain mass, if it's going to gain mass, why are they telling you that? Why, they highlight it here. They're telling you, if muscle is going to gain mass, guess what? Protein synthesis must exceed what? Protein breakdown. Now that you have a window for protein synthesis, let's say there's a window, but it's also a window for protein breakdown. But there's a window for protein synthesis. You understand me right now? You worked out. But it's also a window for protein breakdown. So when you go to the gym, you're breaking down proteins. That's why I try to explain to people, you should eat a shitload of protein and maybe a complex carb before you go into the gym. Yeah. A lot of people, they go fasted or starvation. They go lifting in the gym. Are you crazy? You're breaking down more proteins. And now you have a window for protein synthesis, but you have a window for protein breakdown. And so that window in protein breakdown can last 24, 48, even 72 hours. It can keep going for the next 1, 2, 3 days. I bet you didn't know that, yeah. So if you're not eating enough, your bagels and your 2 boiled eggs and your Cocoa Puffs and all that are not doing it for you. You understand me? And so you keep coming back in the gym, breaking down proteins. Here's the best part. I'm going to do bro splats, man. I'm going to do shoulder day and forearm day. Yeah, you are. You're going to do shoulder day. And then tomorrow you're going to do what? Chest? And then you're going to do back. Well, your shoulders are being overworked. Now your shoulders are being more overworked. You understand me? When are you building up the proteins? And then you go do your chest. You're fucked it. You're fucked. And then you're doing your back now. So now your shoulders and your chest are getting overworked with the forearms. So it never really works out for me. The best is, hey man, I'm going to do my arms today. Oh, you're going to do your arms, are you? And then the next day you're going to do your back? Holy shit, you're fucking doing your arms again. Oh, and I'm not going to do a bench press the next day. You're still doing your arms. You're using your arms again. I'm going to do shoulder day. Yeah, you're doing shoulder day, but you're using your arms again. You're fucking stupid. You understand? People are so dumb.
People freak out about it. Like, but you eat more than that. You oftentimes advocate more than that. Yeah, that's true. It's absolutely true. It doesn't make it less true.
He looks so puffy now. Look at him. He's so sarcoplasmic. He's mentally retarded. You're looking at a mental coach, bro. I'm telling you, people are looking at a mentally sick person. He's taking TRT. That's number one. He's taking some kind of replacement, testosterone, whatever. Okay, so the testosterone is not being regulated in his blood. Testosterone levels, they move in specific waves up and down for a reason. But if you just keep taking something and it's consistent, this is a very bad thing. Okay, and next thing you look at him, he's puffy. This inflammatory response of chronically lifting, okay? So if it's chronically lifting, you're chronically breaking down more proteins because it's a window for protein breakdown as well. So and then he's eating fucking these carbs. He's eating shitty carbs, shitty food. Look at his basket. Oh my God, this food stamp food, bro. And he's absorbing glycogen in the muscle because now he's a chronic lifter. So this is endurance. You understand? He's an endurance athlete. So he's drawing more glycogen into the muscle. For every gram of glycogen, 3 grams of water are drawn between skin and muscle into the muscle. Yeah, man, this is crazy. He's simply doing nothing. He's accelerated aging. This isn't proper training. If you want to create micro tears, then you need to be a periodic lifter. You understand me? But if you want to be a chronic lifter, a good at doing these exercises, you still will get good even if you are a periodic lifter. But you'll get better if you're a chronic lifter because now you're looking for performance and you are an endurance athlete. And so you're going to get these sarcoplasmic muscles when you chronically lift. Yeah, man, because it just is doing that. That's just how the human body works.
In other words, because of that doesn't mean that this data isn't true. It doesn't mean there aren't other reasons.
That data is for the average person in the street, and it still doesn't work for the average person. That is not working. You understand me?
Something I have routine.
Your body will start getting more hungry when you break down more proteins. That's why you notice you're starving all the time. You go to work, you do a physical job. Why do you eat more after you do a physical job? Think about that. If you're not doing anything physical during the day, you're not as hungry as you would be if you did something very physical. Why? Your body it needs to replace that which was broken down.
Pointed out is that there is decent data on protein overfeeding. And when we say protein overfeeding, we're talking about eating double or more of these.
You are getting a relative amount of damage here too. I can't tell you what kind of damage. I put in my community section. You can read it. I catch damage. I don't know, man. There's all kinds of damage. Hypoxia, stress, oxidative stress. These are things that happen. This type of damage happens when you are adapted. There's adapted damage, and then there's unadapted type of damage where you get micro damage, you get oxidative damage, hypoxia damage. There's different kinds of damages here, bro. So yeah, you need to eat shitloads of protein to fucking repair these damages that you're doing to your tissue, your body. Yeah, and by the way, oxidative and hypoxia doesn't build muscles, okay? The progenitor cell does. And it only builds muscle when it's activated through micro injuries. And if it's activated through hypoxia and oxidative stress, let's say the satellite cell, it'll proliferate, but it won't differentiate, you dummy. Some guy did a video on me. I'm talking to him directly. Listen, you dummy. They can proliferate, but they won't differentiate. They only differentiate when there's micro injuries, okay? They don't fucking donate their nuclei to oxidative stressed muscles or hypoxic muscles. Duh.
Numbers that I just gave you, okay? When we start hitting...
They may replace them if they're damaged. They may replace them, but they're not going to donate extra ones. They only donate their nuclei to create muscle fibers out of damaged fibers that were micro-injured or traumatized. Get it, man?
Double that. That's protein overfeeding. There is data on fat loss and recomposition with that. It does make it easier to lose body fat. Okay, it makes it easier to lose body fat. And what you see...
Why does it make it easy to lose body fat? Because you're not going through a famine. Your body sees it as you're not going through a famine. And meat is highly nutrient dense based. That's why. And your cells just want what? Nutrients. They don't want sugar, carbs. They don't want candy bars. They don't want spaghetti, pizza. They don't want cheese and all this weird shit. What they want is nutrients. Yes. And meat happens to have that. Yes.
Usually people who do that and they try to overfeed, meaning they try to go into a small calorie surplus while consuming enormous amounts of this, what happens in the studies, they tend to lose a little body fat. They lose fat. All right. But when we're having
He's telling you to eat plants.
Conversations, we're not talking about fat loss. We're talking about muscle gain.
Jesus, he looks like an old man there. Look at that face. It's about to explode, broski. You're going to explode. Look at that head. It's a pumpkin head, man. Looks like a guy in Halloween. It's about to scare the kids. Hey, Fester, what are you doing there? Fester.
And that is a big point that people don't get when conversations come up. We can discuss these things. We can discuss, for example, when I've explained that carbohydrates don't store as body fat appreciably.
Look at that. It's Uncle Fester. Yeah, complex carbohydrates won't. They are not going to store it as fat. Okay. But they'll kind of wash you out. They won't give you a muscular look, the one that you're looking for.
In humans and not in subcutaneous fat at all. And you point out that on extremely low fat diets, carb overfeeding doesn't cause fat gain.
Simple carbs will. Simple carbs will spike your insulin, so they will make you fat. It's the complex carbohydrates that you want so you don't get fat.
People will respond with, but when I lose weight, it's like, that's not what we're talking about. It's a completely separate topic. They'll say, I do really well on a low-carb diet, so explain that. I'm like, because you ate a calorie deficit. That doesn't mean that you're gaining fat from the carbohydrates that you eat. Okay? Weight gain, lean weight gain, like gaining weight without gaining body fat, is not the same thing as losing weight. In fact, they're total opposites. Gaining weight versus losing weight are opposites, irrespective of how much is body fat or not. I would also point out to those same people, I think that there's data to suggest that lower carbohydrate can equal faster muscle loss too when you're in a deficit. So just put that in perspective. So
I don't know that. Did he ever try this himself?
Again, when I say these things, people are like, oh, this is a flip-flop, this is conflicting data, but it's not. Because when we discuss protein overfeeding, I've always said there isn't evidence that protein overfeeding causes more muscle growth.
Do not touch the presents under the tree. Good night.
There isn't evidence that protein overfeeding causes more muscle growth.
Now he goes, there's evidence. Overfeeding will grow muscles. Of course, I just showed you it, man. Protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown. Okay, that's all. It's really simple.
Evidence that protein overfeeding can facilitate a little bit of fat loss. Okay, again, we have to put into context when we're having these conversations, gaining muscle and losing fat are not the same thing.
Gaining muscle and losing fat. Yeah, your muscle will use the fat, the triglyceride as energy in the fat cells. Fat cells don't have a domain size limit. They don't grow more cells and they don't lose cells. You're born with those set of cells, fat cells. They either get bigger or smaller, and they're not regulated by the MND size limit. But muscle cells are regulated by MND size limit. You could get more muscle cells, you could lose muscle cells, you could get more muscle cells, and they have a limit how big those muscle cells can get. Those cells can only get so big. Now, if you want to get bigger, you need to get more muscle cells. You'll reach an MND size limit. All you call it a newbie gains limit, or a genetic limit, or I'm a hard gainer. That's what you all call it. And you would be right. It's instinctual. Something instinctual is telling you that you're not building anymore because you reached an MND size limit. Yeah, that's why when you keep eating, you could get fat really easy, but you can't build muscle so easy. Haha, you need more cells to keep building them. That's why you should stay on a high carnivore diet and maybe some complex carbohydrates and cut out all the other shit. So if you aren't growing, you won't be getting fat. But if you want to get fat, go on a bulk diet. Get it? And you'll get nice and fat and your muscles won't grow.
They are separate topics. So we're talking about...
In other words, they may grow on a bulk diet. You may get some mass, but you're going to get fat. You're going to get fat on that type of diet, the bulk diet. But what happens is this. So then you go, I'm going to cut. So when you start to cut, you lose the mass that you just built with the fat. So it was pointless. See what I mean? It was pointless because you went on a cut and that mass is going to shrink. The muscle cells are going to shrink because protein synthesis needs to exceed this breakdown to see that mass on that myofibrillar. But all you people are too stupid eating Lucky Charms. Get it? And all these weird bread, carbs, and peanut butter and shit.
Gaining muscle. All right, gaining muscle and maximizing it. That's literally what I mean is that 1.6
gaining muscle and maximizing. I love this stupid talk of his.
grams, meaning no study has found intakes, no well done study. Let me rephrase that.
All studies have an NCBI. Protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown to see that mass on the myofibrillar. But if you confuse it with bulk diets, with these weird artificial diets, if you introduce them, then you'll get fat. You'll still get mass on the myofibrillar, but you'll get fat. And then you're going to be like, I want to cut down now. So when you start to cut down, no more protein synthesis exceeds this breakdown. So if it's not exceeding it, guess what's going to happen? You're going to start losing those, you're going to lose the mass on the myofibrillar along with the fat. You understand me, man? It's redundant. It's stupid. You've wasted your time.
All the studies that have made it through.
That's why when you want to lose fat and retain muscle and maybe even build up the mass on it, you want to be in what? Protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown. It doesn't say carbohydrates. It doesn't say artificial diets. It doesn't say a bulk diet here. Nowhere in there does it say bulk diet. It does not say artificial Cocoa Puffs and Lucky Charms. You understand me? It says if muscle is going to gain mass, protein synthesis must exceed this protein breakdown. Can you people read this? Can you understand that? Yeah, it doesn't say bulk diet there. Doesn't say any of these things. You're going to waste your time. Bulk dieting.
Study. Let me rephrase that. All the studies that have made it through peer review got into a meta-analysis.
It definitely helps before you go into a gym to work out to eat a shitload of protein. And after you work out, eat a shitload of protein to see that mass. But here's the problem again. Yes, 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 and then you eat at a certain level to maintain this mass of protein. The problem is, it is better to try to get more muscle cells and build the mass of those muscle cells up. You understand me? Get them to level up. You'll always look dense, even if you were to, let's say you were to lose some of this mass, but you gained a lot of muscle cells. Well, they'll still measure up to your natural level. What your natural, how should I put it, size of your myofibrillars, those new cells will match up. So even if you were to lose some of the mass in the new cells, you will still look denser than the majority of people out there, even if you were to lose some of this mass that you accumulated in the cells. Do you understand me? So what do you want to do? You want to move for density as opposed to mass, because mass will not last. Get it? So if you move towards density, trying to make your muscles more dense by getting more muscle cells, then you have more chances of always looking big and strong the rest of your life naturally. You understand me? And you'll live longer. Yeah, because you'll have more myonuclei.
They don't find muscle growth beyond that. They just don't. Some of them find it lower. They're not finding it higher. So when we talk about, I want to eat enough to be safe. Okay, that is your being safe. Meaning, because a few studies have found muscle growth to occur small, very, very, very small amounts of additional muscle growth to occur when you go that high over slightly lower.
You're not doing anything but increasing proteins in the muscle fibers. That's all you're doing. Increasing the proteins, which is going to increase the mass. And remember, proteins build up and break down. That's all you're doing.
That is your safety, because some of the studies showed around 1.2 grams per kilo. So let's what do we mean by that? So for me, let's just call me 220, even though I'm thinking about 215 the time this video is made. All right, that's 100 kilograms. That's 160 grams of protein. Some of the studies...
I thought he was 212. Now he says he's 220. I don't know, man. He's making up stuff.
...will show that I could do it at 120. A few still show really great or close to optimal at about 100. Now, when we hear this stuff, you will see people...
He's not doing it.
People interpret this data as the minimum intake is 1.6 grams. No, that's the maximum to which you'll see a muscle growth benefit. Not saying there can't be some satiety or metabolic benefits or exothermic effect.
Not for athlete people or lifters. It says there, protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown, bro.
Things like that from going beyond it. This completely, and I've seen that on the other extreme, because people will see what mentors, some other people wrote, and some of these hit advocates. You only can use a couple of grams of protein a day to build muscle, so you don't need to even care about protein intake. Well, that's not true.
No, you don't need a couple of grams. You need to exceed that breakdown. That's about it.
Either. Is the other part true that gaining new muscle
it's really, really, really simple.
tissue might only be a couple grams of protein a day? Sure.
He makes it so complicated. You need these amount of grams, and all these stupid ass fitness gym slaves, they're all like, you gotta eat this amount of grams or that amount of grams or this gram. It's all bullshit, man. Just exceed that breakdown.
That
Be in an anabolic growth state.
statement isn't false. But what we're talking about is, does the intake itself, is
The statement is false.
it associated with an upward increase in muscle protein synthesis that shows a measurable change in muscle growth? Well, it is more than a gram or two.
A lot of these studies that they use for muscle growth and stuff, it's usually untrained people. And always untrained people get the maximum amount of growth in the beginning. It's like this. Everything works in the beginning until it stops working, because there's mechanisms to protect these things from happening. There's a whole bunch of things that are out there. They're protecting certain things from doing certain things, from this, from that. You have to know how they all work. If you're gonna be a lifter, you should know how they all work.
It's up in that range. It's that 1 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight. So for someone at my weight, that's between 100 and 160 grams.
Think about it. All these people are eating that amount of grams, whatever the hell he's talking about. So why are they all saying that I reached my newbie gains? You reached your newbie gains. I reached my genetic limit. I'm a hard gainer. If you're a hard gainer, genetic limit, and I reached my newbie gains and my genetic limit, what is that exactly telling you? You're eating a shitload of protein. You're working out. You're going to the gym, but you're not growing. Why aren't you growing anymore? You want to know why? Why? Because you reached an MND size limit. Duh. You need more cells and them to get messed up. You understand me? The fiber itself can only get so big, the mass. So you can go and eat as much protein as you want. You understand me? It's not growing. That domain ain't fucking moving anywhere. And so you get these people that start wolfing down carbs, and then they notice they're gaining weight. Their muscles are getting bigger. And then they start going after the pump. They chase after something called the pump. Yeah. And then, and some people, they don't even need enough carbs. They just go to the gym and they chase this inflammatory response. They inflame their muscles and walk around with inflamed muscles all day. This transient hypertrophy called the pump, it's temporary pump, and the inflammatory response, it constantly inflaming their muscles repeatedly like crazy, aging themselves. You understand how insane that is? How crazy people are?
That assumes mixed protein sources.
That's your coach right here. Inflaming muscles 24 hours here in his stupid garage. Okay, that's what he's doing here. Getting them pumped and inflaming them consistently. He's adapted. He's not bypassing MND size limit, okay? He's been like that for at least the last 30 years.
Okay, that assumes a mixture of very high bioavailable sources plus plant sources. This is everything added up together. Okay? That could also explain the discrepancy. That might be why some studies have found, as low as 1 to 1.2, because maybe it was almost exclusively animal source protein. Okay? Whereas in the ones that go up to the 1.6,
I like how he flexes. He tries to pretend and stuff.
it's more mixed protein sources. And that is actually a viable explanation for why there is a little disparity in there. But when we start talking about hitting 1.5, 1.6, you are absolutely in your safety margin for maximizing muscle growth. At this point, I always tell people you may want to focus more on carbohydrates at that point. Maybe.
Nah, you're not maximizing muscle growth. But yeah, complex carbohydrates they'll preserve some of this protein to build muscle. But again, muscle has an MND size limit, so it doesn't matter. Newbie gain limit. If you're not micro injuring these muscle fibers, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time chronically lifting here. You're not going to bypass MND, just like him.
May be more beneficial to you. Right? All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative.
Think about it. If you micro injure muscle fibers now, how much protein do you... Look, if you're adapted like him, how much protein do you need? How much protein do you need? Okay. Now, let's say you're a person that's periodically lifting and you get these micro injuries in the muscle fibers. How much protein do you need to eat for that repair and remodeling? I'm not talking about the mass. The mass, you eat this protein, whatever exceeds that breakdown. So you build up some mass on your myofibrillar, okay, but it reaches an MND size limit. Now, how much protein do you need when you repair and remodel muscle fibers? How much do you need? Think about that. Did they mention that anywhere in there? No. See what I mean? You need to be in an anabolic growth state. That's all I can tell you. See you in the next one, friends. Tell me what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel, comment down below. Helps with the algorithm. I'll see you in the next one. So how much protein do you need to maximize muscle growth if you are getting that type of damage that he's getting in a hypoxic state? How much do you need? This hypoxic stress, whatever, I don't know, oxidative stress, hypoxia. Yeah, and you're breaking down proteins there. How much do you need? Now, how much protein do you need if you actually caused micro injuries to the muscle fibers? How much do you need for a repair and a remodeling and a donation of new muscle cells? And you want to mass up those muscle cells during that whole week when you do get the new cells. You want that mass to exceed that breakdown. So how much protein do you need to eat? How much do you need to eat? A lot. You got to be in an anabolic growth state. See you in the next one. Ciao.